Guys, welcome back to All Nerd Everything. If you're new here, I'm Craig, your favorite film, TV show, anime, comic book YouTuber. And I wanted to do this as soon as it turned August because I'm very bad at getting the things. I mean, if I would not have done this video today, I would have probably kept putting it off and putting it off until it got to the middle of August or towards the back end of August. And I'm trying to get better when it comes to reviewing everything I watched from the previous months and not waiting till the very last minute of the month to put those videos out because I'm very bad at it, but I'm trying to get better. So I'm gonna dive into everything I've watched in the month of July. And this month, I think that this month is gonna be better than the previous months. And let's just dive into the first one right away. I rewatched Days of Thunder, starring Tom Cruise and directed by Tony Scott, and this was their reunion after the success of Top Gun. And I've seen YouTube reactors over the past couple months react to this film, and sometimes lightning in a bottle does not strike twice. I mean, you know what the saying is. You know what I'm trying to say. Top Gun was so widely successful that they tried to capitalize on the success of it by doing Days of Thunder, but it's just the exact same thing as Top Gun. It's just with cars, and that's it. It follows the exact same story points. I mean, the characters are exactly the same. Well, I think it'd be better for me, and if I'm looking away, that just means I'm looking at my laptop because I think it's easier to just be able to look at the screen to see everything I've watched, because sometimes I forget, as opposed to writing everything down on a piece of paper. But the movies are so similar. In my review, I decided to write everything down that was similar from Days of Thunder and Top Gun. For example, the opening sequence of racing automobiles driving on a hot sunny track, a competitive rivalry turned into a friendship, a near-death experience on the job, an unprofessional sexual relationship, and the silhouette love scene. Yes, it's the exact same. And not only that, but it's it it's a lesser version of Top Gun, but this movie had bad production written all over it. I mean, they started production of this movie with an unfinished script. A lot of days they were writing scenes as they were filming, which is a very bad way to conduct your film. And Tom Cruise actually had to have his lines on the visor on the inside of his helmet to remember his lines. So I think that's the reason why this film kind of, crash and burn, no pun intended. But yeah, I gave this 2 stars. I thought it was just, it's not bad, but it's not great either. It's just not Top Gun, and that's okay. Next, I watched Loved Hurts, starring Kihu Kwan and Ariana DeBose. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right because I feel like I always mess it up. But after both of these, I watched this on Peacock, and after both of these actors have won their Oscars, they have been in the limelight. Pretty much, they've been pretty much everywhere, except I think that they've been taken, since both actors have won their Oscars. I don't know, is their roles have gone like pew, pew, the amount of good roles that is, because ever since the Oscar wins from both of them, they have not put out a solid a solid project. And this is mainly directed at Ariana because Ke Huy Quan, he's had a massive resurgence since Everything Everywhere All at Once, is, which in my opinion, one of the best Oscar Best Picture wins, one of the best A24 wins. I mean, A24 films, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love it. But Love Hurts, it's just so corny. I mean, I heard people talking massive crap about this when this came out, and I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but I mean, yeah, it kind of is. It's just something that you just put on the background for no reason when you're doing stuff. And Ki Kwan and Ariana, their characters, they hardly interact, and when they do, they don't really have any chemistry together. The only reason that I gave, by the way, I gave this 1.5 stars. And the only reason I gave it that is because Marshawn Lynch is the only thing about this movie that I enjoy. Even the action sequences in this film are a little, they're so cartoonish and over the top, it's hard to take it seriously. And the villain in this film, it's just a Saturday morning, cartoon villain, and it feels, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I might not even go back and watch this. So yeah, I give it 1.5 stars. Love hurts. Next, I watched Dogman, and I believe I also watched this on Peacock as well. Yes, I did. And I really like the animation. It's a good film to show your kids. I gave it 3 stars. I like the voice animate. I like the voices for the characters, and it's just a really heartwarming, animated film. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was decent. Next, I watched The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. Now, this movie received no promotion at all, and a lot of people didn't even know about it until other, YouTubers or film content creators were reviewing the film. I didn't get a chance to watch this when it was in theaters. Every time I wanted to, something came up or I was busy, and by the time I wanted to go see it in theaters, it it already left, so I was kind of disappointed by that. But I really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars, and excuse me, I gave it 3.5 stars. And essentially, the movie is Daffy and Porky. They work at this bubble gum factory to pay for the damages on the house, and they're going to lose it. And that's when Daffy stumbles on this, well, not really a conspiracy theory, but he finds out that I guess you'd call it a conspiracy theory, that the people in town are being brainwashed by the gum in the factory. Like, the gum is turning people into like mindless zombies, and they have to figure out who's creating it and save the earth. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really love the 2D animation. We need to bring that back because it is very great. And I think a lot of people would actually enjoy it if they, if Warner Brothers would have actually put stock behind this film and proper marketing behind this film. It could have been very successful, but they just threw it out there without saying anything. I didn't even know it was in theaters until everyone else was talking about it. So yeah, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely gonna go back and watch it. Next, I watched Superman, which I already did my out of theater thoughts on this. I've seen it 3 times already. Really enjoyed it. I don't like, my rating actually went down a little bit, only because of the twists with Superman's parents. I don't like it at all. I didn't like it then. I don't like it rewatching it. And James Gunn saying that was the actual, recordings, that didn't do anything for me, because that's not the reason why, Superman was sent to Earth. He was just sent to Earth because his parents wanted to protect him. And yeah, I didn't really like the changing of the reason why he was sent to Earth. I wasn't really a fan of that. And some of the flying scenes look a little that flying scene where it's up very close to the camera, like that much. And a lot of times you can tell that Superman looks kind of cross-eyed in some of the scenes. The flight footage scene that James Gunn sent out and people were bashing, and I didn't really understand the dislike for that footage until I saw the movie. So yeah, I gave this four. At first, I gave this 4.5 stars. Then I dropped it to 4 stars just because of the twist with his parents and some of the flying scenes just kind of look a little off to me. But this is still one of my favorite films of the year, and it's already in my top 10, and I still think it's the second best Superman movie after the original Christopher Reeves one that came out in 1970, I believe. So yeah, this is still a very solid entry to the comic book film. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. And next I watched Sovereign, and this is starring Nick Offerman, and I got sent in early screening of this film, and I think it'd be easier to read the synopsis just for you guys to understand, what this film is about if you never heard of it. So the plot is struggling single father Jerry indoctrinates his son Joe into his sovereign citizen movement, teaching him that laws are more illusions and freedom is something you take. But as Jerry's ide, ide, ideology, I don't know why I'm stuttering. Ideology consumes them. They are set on a collision course with a police chief who has spent his life upholding the rules that Jerry has spent his life tearing down. And this is kind of a drama, a thriller about, right wing conservatives, and how they think that the government is out to get them. And this was okay. This might be, I think these kind of films I prefer better as like documentaries. I'm not a huge documentary person, but I prefer it as a doc. But Nick Offerman is fantastic, and he played such a terrible person in this film. I absolutely hated him, and I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was solid, but these type of films, I think they work better when they're a doc as opposed to an actual theoretical film. Next, I watched F1 starring Brad Pitt and Damson Idris. And at first I wasn't going to watch this because I just didn't have an interest. But, but Damson Idris is a rising star, and I mainly watched it for him. I'm still kind of upset that they cut out Simone Ashley, and I'm still very upset that they cut out a lot of Damson Idris, his character development, because apparently he had more stuff that was shot that they put on the cutting room floor, which I was very disappointed to hear about. But I gave it 4 stars. I like the cinematography, the sound editing, the score. I mean, the movie looks and feels great, but I couldn't rank it any higher than that for the reasons I just said. And I felt like the movie kind of felt like it went a little longer than it should have, in my opinion. But it's still a very solid film, and I gave it 4 stars. Next, I watched The Intern, and The Intern I gave 3.5 stars, and this is starring Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro. And the best way to describe this film for people who haven't seen it, the movie's 10 years old, but the best way I can describe it is essentially The Devil Wears Prada, except it's the boss is a young female, and the coworker, the employee is an older gentleman. So yeah, I had fun with this. I thought it was going to be dumb at first. I was just looking for something to put on, and me and my brother actually enjoyed it. We thought it was pretty damn funny, and we were hooked within like the first 10-15 minutes, and yeah, we just couldn't stop watching. So I thought it was decent. Next, I watched Mickey 17, and I watched this on the flight, on a flight, I had a couple of hours to spare, so I wanted to watch something I hadn't seen before, and this was one of them because I missed it in theaters when it came out at the beginning of the year, and I was very disappointed. I felt like the movie dragged on for too long. I mean, the movie looks great. I like the cinematography, the production designs, and the VFX, but I mean, I get it. Fascism is bad, but what else is the movie trying to say? It seemed like the messaging of this movie is kind of all over the place. So, yeah, wasn't really a huge fan of this one. This one was kind of disappointing, but I still gave it 3 stars because I like the acting, I like the cinematography, the VFX, and and the score. But everything else, it was whatever. Next, I watched going back. Speaking of superhero films, I mentioned Superman earlier. I went back and watched the Fantastic Four films. So Fantastic Four 2005, and I actually don't think that this film is terrible. I think it has some charm to it. I can see why a lot of people dislike it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. I gave it 3 stars, and I think the main problem with these films were how they portrayed the villains, and the family didn't feel as strong. The dynamic of the family didn't feel as strong as it did in Fantastic Four First Steps, which I'm going to talk about later on. But yeah, them over sexualizing, Sue Storm, and yes, over sexualizing Johnny as well, because there's 2 scenes in the film where he's damn near naked, but I don't hear people talk about that. I mean, both of the characters are over sexualized, and yeah, I think the main problem was that they were looking for models, as in, you know, for Sue Storm, they would have preferred her be attractive, the actor, the person playing her to be attractive over a good actor. They were looking for a model for Sue Storm instead of looking for an actor first. And in my opinion, that's where they messed up. Doctor Doom, rest in peace to the actor that played Doctor Doom, R.I.P. But the portrayal of him was just bad. It's not Doctor Doom. It was just a combination of Lex Luthor and Norman Osborn, and yeah, that it didn't feel like Doctor Doom. The last scene, the leading up to the final fight in the film, it was just eh. The final fight in the film is is most likely one of the worst things about the film, to be honest. Yeah, it has some charm to it. It's not terrible. It's not great either. I still gave it 3 stars. And then I watched Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Now this one losing some points. I gave it 2.5 stars, and that's mainly because of Galactus, which was terrible, and turning Galactus into a cloud. Like, are you kidding me? And I'm pretty sure they only did that because they couldn't afford an actor to play to do some kind of stop motion or whatever do some kind of motion capture to portray Galactus, and maybe they just wanted to take the easy way out and just use CGI, which was probably one of the worst things they could have done. Silver Surfer is probably the only good thing about this movie, and I totally forgot that Doctor Doom was in this movie. Like, I don't even know why he's in the film. It feels like he's only in it to just pad out the story, and I wasn't a fan of it. I mean, it's not the worst superhero movie I've seen, but it is disappointing and definitely a step down from its predecessor. And like I said, I gave it 2.5 stars. I thought it was eh. And the final film I watched for the month of July, Fantastic Four: First Steps. I watched this opening night with my niece and my dad, and it was stacked. I felt awkward not having a Fantastic Four outfit on when everyone else did, and I was just like, damn it. I really wish I had one of those. But this film, I actually like it better than Superman. And Superman is my guy. I'm a Superman stan. He's one of my all-time favorite comic book characters. But the reason I put Fantastic Four First Steps over Superman is for the reasons I said when I was talking about Superman with, changing why he was sent to Earth. That's why I put Fantastic Four First Steps over Superman. And plus, I really love a good period piece. But unfortunately, Fantastic Four First Steps isn't doing so well. It took kind of a nosedive the week after the release. And I think it's mainly because I'm going to do a separate video. I might do a separate video on that. Maybe, maybe not. But I think that they should have pushed this movie back at least to November, mainly because the marketing for Superman has been a lot better than the marketing for Fantastic Four First Steps. And I think that a family film like this, like Fantastic Four First Steps, would work really well during the month of November, because Thanksgiving is coming up and a lot of people want to spend it with their family. So I think that the month of November would have done wonders for Fantastic Four First Steps. And Superman's just a widely more popular character, which is why Fantastic Four First Steps probably isn't doing so well. I still love the film. I love the cinematography, the costume design, the production design. They finally got Silver Surfer and Galactus right, and Galactus is terrifying. And a lot of people were very skeptical on if Pedro Pascal could pull off Reed Richards, and not 1 second he proved everyone wrong. Not 1 second did I say I see Pedro Pascal. The whole time I was watching this movie, I saw Reed Richards, and I'm going to see this movie at least 2 more times before they take it out of theaters. I have to see it more than once, and I gave it 4.5 stars, and it's easily one of my best films, one of my favorite films of this year. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And yeah, that's everything I watched in the month of July. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any suggestions for films that I should watch, let me know in the comments. Until then, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to stay updated with more movie, TV show, and comic book news and reviews. I'm your favorite film content guy.